Hello. What is going on in the Trump administration? What is Elon Musk, President douche as I say, doing? Before I continue, please give a thumbs up if you like to recommend this video to other viewers. Thank you. Well, right off the bat, President Trump fired 17 inspectors general. And you know, it's their job to see to that there is no corruption or bad use of funds in the federal government. He fired them even though he says he's fighting against the corruption. And they are working according to the law. He also fired the head of the Navy with 3 hours of notice to leave her house. Whatever the circumstances behind that, that's just not acceptable. He tried to make several thousand federal employees, including supposedly like 6,000 in the FBI, abandon their jobs with an offer of 8 months of severance pay that was not approved by Congress, and therefore he had no authority to give. That's a scam. So he's trying to deprive them of their rights and of their money, because as long as they stay in their job, they can oppose his whatever he's doing. And let's get to that. Now, also Elon Musk, President douche, had a teenager and some young 20-something go in and take over data. And we've heard, I'm gonna put on here a video from MSNBC with Jamie Raskins, the ranking member of the Justice Committee and professor in constitutional law, tell some of the things that are going on. They also did the same in the USAID, Department of Education. They always go after the data. Let me see if I can find the video here and put it on for you.
Elon Musk, you may have illegally seized power over the financial payment systems of the United States Department of Treasury, but you don't control the money of the American people. The United States Congress does that.
What we heard there was Raskin say that Musk doesn't control the money, Congress does. However, the one who actually at the end of the day controls the money is the one who has the fingers on the keyboard. And Congress doesn't have that. Musk's minions do. Which is why I personally think that Elon Musk should be detained, because that's clearly a violation of the law. But let's continue. Trump claims that Elon is doing this to streamline the government. But is that a credible claim? No, and I'll tell you why. First, it's patently illegal and unconstitutional what they're doing, what Elon Musk, President douche, is doing. And second, the GOP, the Republicans, they control all branches of government. The House, the Senate, the presidency, and even the Supreme Court now. So they could perfectly well do it the legal way. The reason they're not doing it the legal way tells you that they are up to no good. So, having ruled out that they do it for a reason that Trump says, what other explanation could there be? Now, let's listen to Jamie Raskins again.
I think a lot of the Republicans are just going to wait and see which way this goes. You know that there are a lot of very right-wing MAGA Republicans like Steve Bannon who are completely opposed to Elon Musk and what he's doing. Bannon has called him a truly evil person. And Laura Loomer has warned of what they're trying to do in terms of creating a techno-state monarch in the new century. Obviously, Elon Musk has much bigger plans than Donald Trump, who, you know, we know just wants to become the richest person in the world and get all the attention. But Elon Musk would really like to completely overthrow our system of government and move us into some kind of techno monarchy under the geniuses of Silicon Valley.
Beware of the matrix. this is leading to a place that's very dangerous. Imagine a world where everybody's connected and all the data being controlled by some mega corporations. And even worse, the cars are connected. And even worse, the cars are self-driving. My uncle, who was a policeman, used to say that a car is more dangerous than a gun. It has a lot of kinetic energy and it can kill a lot of people. Imagine somebody, a bad actor, remotely controlling cars. What a disaster that would be. So, is this really credible? He mentioned some source there. Let's go and listen to a journalist, Jill is his name, who has studied this phenomenon, the ideology of the billionaire tech guys in Silicon Valley for a number of years, following them on social media. And he has found a plan to create a kind of world government by the tech billionaires as their private fiefdom. So let's listen to what he says.
This is about power and who gets to wield power in the 21st century. There's a new extreme ideology that has taken root in certain quarters of Silicon Valley, not in all of tech, but in a pretty significantly impactful portion of tech. And it sees that the 21st century is a power vacuum, and it proposes to fill that power vacuum with a new system of governance by tech corporations and the people who control those corporations. And that's very much what this is about that we're seeing today. It's about who controls the 21st century, who has power. And it's also about the idea of upending nation states, countries like the United States no longer being important in the world, and instead having different patchworks of territories, some call them network states, that will be ruled like corporate fiefdoms by some of these tech billionaires.
If that would come to pass, you and me, we would basically be reduced to actors in their matrix. Can it be done? Yes, it can be done. Is it being done? You be the judge. Let's listen some more to what he has to say.
Well, in 2022, Yarvin wrote an essay called The Butterfly Revolution, in which he outlined the idea for, instead of Trump in a second administration being at the center of everything, Trump would more act as chairman of the board, and he would install a sort of CEO figure to basically be the dictator of the federal bureaucracy and to start breaking rules, purging the bureaucracy, which is a long-time idea of Yarvin's. He calls it RAGE, retire all government employees. We see that being carried out in DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, which I prefer to call destruction of government by Elon, because that's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. Then after purging a bureaucracy, you bring in this loyalist army of people to run government with no concern for loyalty to democracy or the Constitution of the law, but instead loyalty to the dictator who runs the government now. And then you start systematically dismantling democratic institutions, making sure they can no longer function, they no longer exist. You defy the courts, you defy Congress, you push everything to the brink and see who really does anything about it. Is there any consequence for deciding that Congress doesn't matter anymore? Is there any consequence for deciding that you don't have to follow the laws, especially when you have a president who will just pardon you? And then after that, you start seizing media control, academic control, and sort of reformatting everything so that the main message getting out to people is pro-authoritarian regime, pro-dictatorship, and that it's very hard to get any competing message out. We're not quite at that stage yet. We do see some weird stuff happening, the way the Washington Post and the LA Times have owners now who have become sort of pro-MAGA, or at least kowtowing to MAGA. Mm-hmm. And I think you expect to see more of that pressure applied to both journalism and to academia and other institutions. The idea being that we can have nobody publicly challenge this. People have to act like it's normal and go along with it, and that'll give it the best chance of success.
What he describes, I have seen. This can be done. If you are bold enough and you take over the federal government quickly enough before anybody can stop you, You take control over the data. That's why they go for the data. And they try to fire a lot of people so that there would be nobody left in government to stop them and to run government without them. That's the plan. I've seen this in Venezuela. I have followed the situation in Venezuela since 2010 very closely. And back then, Chavez confiscated a number of farms in December 2010 in Zulia state. And by chance of destiny, I was held hostage at one of those farms a couple of years ago by the Elan guerrilla. So back then in 2010, there were still independent media in Venezuela. But gradually, after Maduro had Chavez killed in 2012 and took over the government, they gradually silenced all the media. And even though people knew that they were going to be fed only propaganda, even so, the propaganda lies infiltrated because they had no other information with which to compare it. So taking over all the media works. And that's what they plan to do. Why did he buy Twitter? Or ex-Twitter now? It's not for economical reasons. And President Bush doesn't need the money. He needed Twitter to control the narrative for propaganda purpose. Actually, you know what I think? I think everyone, all the countries in the world should ban Twitter because Twitter has now converted itself into a propaganda organ for this plan to take over the world. It should be banned. Now, let's get back to the US. Do the actions taken by Elon Musk and the douche team match the plan presented by Jill and Representative Raskin? I would say they do. Very much so. They have gone for the data and they have also attacked the staff. I just told you that. So without the staff, they can't fight back. Now, what can we do to stop it? Raskin said that Congress controls the money. No, Congress makes the law. The one who has the fingers on the keyboard is the one who controls the money. And that's now, maybe, in the worst case, President Bush. So, then we have the courts. The courts can forbid them, and they have this weekend. They forbade them to use the data and ordered them to destroy it. Will they? If they're doing a coup, they won't. So then the next step is, who is going to stop them if they refuse to obey orders? There you have the FBI. They're trying to stop the FBI and take down the FBI. Pam Bondi from Florida. And if the FBI doesn't do it, who will? If there is nobody left in the federal government, in the executive branch, which has been taken over by Donald Trump, then who will stop them? There is one last hope, as I see it, and that's the states. But the states can't go after federal crimes. They have to find state crimes to go after. And then since Musk is not elected and he's not really a federal employee, he really cannot defend himself by the executive privilege and have it moved to federal court. So that's what I'm thinking could be done. But also, it's up to each and every one who has sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution to do that. If you have sworn an oath and you are in a position with law enforcement, whichever branch, obey the Constitution. Do not obey a criminal order from whomever it may be. This is about the future, not just of the United States, but of the whole civilized world. So as I said initially, please give a thumbs up if you haven't done it already. And subscribe to my channel if you think this should get out, because it's really, really important to get people subscribed and thumbs up in order for the video to get out. And comment, please feel free to comment. Thank you. And let's stay strong, because we can win this.